Kapla, and welcome to the Bat Left Battle, where 2 episodes of Star Trek go in, but only one comes out. Officiating today's battle are myself, Kevin Scarf, my wonderful co-host, Joe Keegan. Good morning,
Hello.
Joe.
Good morning still, yes, indeed. I have no concept of time. At the moment, time is just an elusive concept.
You're on Teacher Summertime.
I am on Teacher Summertime, TST. And I'm very relaxed and I'm just chilling out and playing piano and podcasting occasionally. It's quite lovely.
Sounds lovely.
How are you? How's Santaing?
Oh, it's so much fun. I spent yesterday at the park and we just got a brand new ride. So Santa got to ride the brand new ride at the theme park yesterday called Moose on the Loose, where a moose chases a bear around a track. It's very fun.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, it's a great little theme park we've got going.
Cool. I don't know if it's too early. Though I was telling my mum about your Santaing during the summer, and she asked for a pair of fleecy pajamas.
Okay.
And tartan. With matching slippers.
Okay, I'll see what I can do.
Great. Thank you, Santa.
All right. Well, do you think maybe we should bring in our third member of our judging panel here today?
Nah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Just do it ourselves.
No, we tried that last week. Let's have three this time. So
boys.
Here he is. Just back from vacation, jet lagged, Davey Ryan. Here he is. Hi, Davey.
Hey, I want to say is this moose on the loose thing I'm adding to my to-do list next time I'm in Canada. That sounds incredible.
Yeah, I work at a little children's theme park called Santa's Village, and we got 3 new rides this year. One is called Moose on the Loose, and one is called Flying Fish, and the third one is called The Falcon's Nest. So yeah, it's quite fun. And if you're 7 years old, it's the perfect little theme park.
I bet.
I'm weirdly now the bird's the word from Family Guy, that song. Yes, I'm now, my brain's trying to combine that tune with Moose on the Loose. And it's never going to go away. You've spoiled my whole summer holiday.
I'm sorry, but
sorry.
But I had fun, so that's all that matters.
That sounded like a very sincere Canadian apology. I accept it.
Oh, perfect. Well, let's check our communications array and see if we have any feedback from our listeners. No, we don't. No feedback. I think it's okay.
The feedback ship half uncloaked.
Yeah. So that's good. But listeners, we really would love to hear from you. So, when we post the polls in both Facebook and Discord, let us know your thoughts. Don't just vote. Although just voting is great too, because we need those, but give us some comments.
And see if you're lazy like me and the thought of writing feedback is just too much effort. Go on, use some kind of AI service like ChatGPT and ask it to write you some feedback and just copy and paste that. I'm down with that.
May or may not be your feedback, but that's fine.
Yeah, I use ChatGPT all the time.
So, should we get right into this then and talk about our 2 episodes that we've got?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we've got Enterprise Season 3, Episode 10, Similitude, and Voyager Season 1, Episode 3, really Episode 2. It's the first episode after Caretaker, Parallax. So, who would... does anybody have a preference which one we start with?
No.
I'd say go with Enterprise and let's just get it out of the way.
Okay. Let's do it then. So who would like to summarize the plot of Similitude?
Davey, your choice.
Look, I'll be up front and say I was very lucky. So my flight back from Europe, I got upgraded to business class, which was lovely. Nice. But I did intend to watch both of these episodes on the flight home, and I did it drunk. So let's see how much I remember.
Perfect.
Okay.
That could have been the best way to watch this episode.
Yeah. So, Similitude, a transporter accident combines Neelix and Tuvok. Oh, no, sorry. That's the one that's clearly the inspiration. No, so look, this is an episode where something awful happens to Trip. Big explosion in engineering. He's mortally wounded, and apparently the only way to save him is to do something which I thought was quite unethical: grow a clone of him, educate it, treat it like a proper human pet, and then harvest its organs, so the Trip can live. I mean, is there anything I'm missing? Did I get it wrong?
No, that's pretty much the plot.
Yeah. Joe's kind of looks like he's...
Yeah. That is it. You covered it quite succinctly. It's weird. I enjoyed this episode purely for how dark and unexpected it is. I felt throughout the whole. I don't remember seeing it before, although I have seen it. But I felt like this isn't the way they should be behaving. Archer should not be making this decision to grow like a fully functional clone that's got the memories of its previous life, its host's life. It's very dark.
Archer was a bit of a jerk about it, to be honest. Like, he confronts him and he's just like, yeah, I don't really care about you. I just want the real Trip to live. So, come on, pony it up.
Yeah.
Give me that brain matter.
I'm going to say that I just want to say that, I don't have a ton of experience with Enterprise. I'm sure I watched the first season and then episodes here and there throughout the rest. But Archer is my least favorite captain of any Star Trek series. He's just pissy all the time, and he never looks like he's having any fun, and he's always angry. And why would anyone want to serve with him? And yet he's like the greatest captain ever because he was like the first. I don't care. Shove him out an airlock. That's how I feel after watching this.
I mean, a lot of that comes down to Scott Bakula's horrendous overacting, but whoops, did I say that out loud? I'm jet lagged, people. I'm just...
It's from Australia.
It's all coming out.
It's Australia. It's fine.
Yeah, we're very honest.
Yeah. I was going to say something, and I can't remember what it was. I think that... Do we give Archer a bit of a bye because he is the first? Like, by the time we get to TNG and Voyager and Deep Space Nine, we've had Starfleet around for ages, and everybody, there's kind of rules for how you behave. But this is the first Warp 5 mission, kind of long deep space, so things are going to go wrong, and he's going to feel a certain way, and he's obviously got a bit of PTSD with the whole Xindi thing. Or, he's dealing with the whole Xindi thing at the moment, isn't he?
Right. Yeah, this is after the Xindi attack, right?
And they're in is it The Expanse? Or is that another TV show?
It is called. Is it called The Expanse? The Delphic Expanse? Is it Delphic? There's always a Delphic something, but
something. Yes.
Yeah.
Not Delphic.
You do have to think of it.
You
do have to think of it in that context of what was kind of happening in the broader arc at the time. It's this whole like, well, no, we need Trip. We can't spare him. We'll go with this extreme option, all morals and ethics aside, in order to save him. But so many thoughts.
Was it a little bit less horrid, given the fact that the clone was only going to ever live 15 days?
Yes, I guess. I wonder why, if that's the case, why did they were educating him and
telling the bedtime stories. Why did they just keep him in a coma, like an
exactly,
and then harvest?
Some kind of stasis.
These are good questions. Also, I think they tried to tiptoe around it by saying that they didn't know how this procedure was going to work with humans, right? I got the impression that Phlox was kind of surprised that that the clone had all of Trip's memories too. I don't think that was expected. So they ended up with something more than they thought that they were going to have at the beginning, which really still doesn't excuse the behavior of creating a living being only to harvest its organs.
That's not how clones work. Anyway, they don't have the memories of the host cells. So it's the worst bit of the Dune franchise. They can create Golas and clones, then you can put them through some kind of trauma to awaken their genetic memory of their previous lives. I'm like, that's not like cells don't have all that information. That's just nonsense. I did not like that.
It was the bat, though, wasn't it? The special bat that he's like, oh, well, I've just had it sitting right here next to the bed for this very eventuality, because the bat allegedly created some kind of duplicate. But then there was the whole, I think the way they tried to bring the moral quandary into it was that it was going to be able to live out its natural lifespan and die naturally anyway, and that's how they justified it to themselves. But then it turns out that human physiology was different, and the human clone was not going to survive the harvesting of the brain matter or tissue or whatever it was that they were going to harvest from it. Which is a very loose justification of what they're doing.
And they kind of muddied the water a little bit more by suggesting there was some kind of enzyme treatment that could allow Simtrip to live a normal, healthy human lifespan. I mean, the Flock says, it's experimental. That's why I didn't mention it.
That's right. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I did spend it's been a long. I don't often do a watch of Enterprise at all, and so it had. I remember this episode. It's been a while since I've sat down and properly watched it and paid attention to it. And of all the kind of normal sort of Star Trek moral, sci-fi moral kind of quandaries, this was one of the ones. I mean, this does feel a lot like Tuvix, and like, wow, this doesn't feel really justified. This does kind of feel like murder.
Even more so because I'm not buying the Tuvix murder thing. This just feels like you're growing something purely to kill it.
Yeah. It's even more insidious, right?
Yeah, it's not even an accident.
I agree.
I also found T'Pol's behaviour a little bit problematic when she kissed Simtrip towards the end before he's about to be killed. I was like, he's 4 days old. You kissed him on the lips.
That was also when she answered the door in her, standard Vulcan midriff pajamas.
Ugh, yeah, that's the worst thing about Enterprise. That weird, like early 2000s, let's over sexualize things because we've got a demographic of 18 to 35-year-old men to please.
True.
Yep. I was like, what Vulcan is thinking, yes, this is a logical outfit to wear to bed.
I don't know, do Vulcans have pajamas? Do they care about modesty?
They do. They're just missing the midsection.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Well, let's we've sort of gone over the plot here and given our thoughts. What about the characters? I was about to say there weren't a lot of guest actors, but there were, because there were all those young boys who were playing younger Trip. I got to give it to them. I thought they all did a great job. Like I can't fault those kids. They all looked like Trip. They must have done some makeup on them to give them, his nose, Connor Trinneer's nose or something, because they all looked like Trip and they all had the dialect down. I thought those young actors did a good job being younger Trip. I bought that.
Yeah. So we've got the youngest one was Maximilian Kesmodo, who is the Simtrip at age 4. He was in an episode of CSI Miami. He played a young Horatio. Never seen CSI Miami or any of the CSI series, so I don't know if
that means he took his glasses off dramatically.
Oh, okay, that's a CSI reference, I assume.
Yeah.
And he also guested on ER. back in the day. I know ER. I did watch ER.
Oh, yeah. ER would have been on back then, wouldn't it? Well, like probably towards the end of its run.
End of its run, yeah.
It was 93, wasn't it, ER? It started?
Yeah, and I think it ran 12 years, so it would have ran until 2005.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Then we have the sim trip at age 8 was Adam Taylor Gordon. He was a young Jack Bristow in Alias, and he was Kevin in Judge and Amy. I'm aware of these names of these TV shows, but I couldn't tell you anything about them. Alias feels a bit either some kind of sci-fi clone show or something about the FBI and investigating people that were in hiding from crime gangs.
Alias?
Yeah.
Alias
Jennifer
was
Garner.
a spy show with Jennifer Garner where she was a college student by day and a super spy by night.
Okay. I was kind of
obviously
for a second. Yeah. And then Judge and Amy is obviously about a court judge, and it's a drama about a courtroom.
Yes.
That's it.
But it was also about her personal life, and she lived in like Nantucket or someplace like that. Yeah, it was like a rural judge.
Okay.
And it was about her family and her career. Yeah.
Interesting. And then lastly, before I'm Davey.
Oh no.
Know your place. Know your place. Then we have Sim Trip at age 17. We have Shane Sweet, who was in The Journey of Alan Strange. He played Robbie Stevenson, and he's a regular cast member on AP Bio.
AP Bio.
Yeah,
that was a sitcom
about Associated Press.
No, about advanced placement biology students. There's a high school sitcom.
Okay, AP Bio, I get it. Yeah. Cool. Davey, you may speak.
Oh no, I was just going to say with those first two, it was almost like the casting call had gone out to a special agency for like, we need young white actors to play younger versions of older white actors, because both of them had played a younger version of someone at some point. And so this was like their second gig. They're like, oh, I can do a younger version of an established character.
Oh, yeah, of course. I didn't even realise that. That's a good point. And yeah, so everybody else that's in the episode, we've all seen in many episodes before. There's nobody new apart from the bat. But did we see the bat?
It was kind of in I don't know. I don't think it moved. It was kind of like in a yellow formaldehyde kind of thing, yeah.
Oh, it was dead?
No, I don't think it was dead. I think it was... I don't know. I was drunk. I can't remember. And I watched Parallax first, so just wait to see how much I remember of that.
Interestingly, the bat was played by Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah.
Interestingly or unsurprisingly?
Yeah.
Unsurprisingly, yeah.
When we talk about characters in this episode too, this falls back into the Enterprise trope of not using its own cast members, because I don't think Hoshi had a line, and Travis got to fly a shuttle, right? I think
he did, right towards the end, but that's about it.
But Hoshi and Travis never get to do anything. Reed was barely in this episode. This, they know who their characters that they like are. So this episode was about Archer, Trip, T'Pol, and Phlox. And
that's sweet.
Damn the rest of them.
Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that.
Okay, well, let's move on then. Let's talk about importance to the canon of Star Trek. Anything here that we need to discuss?
Well, it's the reason that Trip stays alive to die in the finale. So
yeah. We wouldn't have had that issue in the finale if they just let Trip die here.
Yeah. It does feel very bottle to the rest of the arc that was happening in that season, which was kind of necessary when you're doing a 23, 24 episode continuous arc, I guess.
That may be the only thing we see a funeral and using a torpedo tube to launch somebody out into space. We see that a bunch of times again. It's a recurring thing, space funerals and a torpedo tube. I wonder what happens if you're really, really tall. They just like
They fold you up.
smush you in there like hammer.
Someone's sitting on it like a suitcase. It's like
oh, that's dark. Yeah, I wonder. So I suppose that's the recurring theme that we see: space torpedo funerals. Did we first see that in the Wrath
Star
of
Trek
Khan?
2? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, they had no bagpipes in this, so it was less. It was less important.
in terms of importance to canon, though, like it's something that's been seen before, right? There's nothing you can kind of take from this episode and go, oh, you won't understand anything else in the broader context of Trek if you don't watch this. It's all very sort of by the numbers, which I think Enterprise did a lot of just rehashing of some of the, all those kind of moral quandaries that have kind of been done before, and sometimes they did a really, really good take on it. Don't know if I'd say that this one was my favorite. Is it coming through that I'm not a fan of this episode?
Well,
that's fine.
I will. I don't love this episode either. I will give you a couple things that I liked. I like the image of the ship being covered in that rusty. I thought that was a nice sort of use of CG and to change up the look of the ship, and the fact they'd like chisel through all of that crud that was building up on the ship. I thought that was interesting. We've never seen.
To use.
What's that? Crud? That's the word.
Crud, yeah, it's a good description of it.
I thought that was a nice visual, and that's something that we had never seen in Star Trek before. A ship being, altered
Crudded.
like that, crudded. Yeah.
I think the next time we see something like that is maybe Discovery when it crashes on the planet at the beginning of season.
Oh yeah,
3. Yeah, and it's covered in the parasitic ice.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
All right. Well, let's move on then to Trekkiness. How Star Trekky does this feel? Like what? When I use 10. This, what's it? -10.
Yeah.
Look, they're going for let's give them a moral lesson. That's what I can say here. Like we're gonna bonk them over the head with it.
Yeah, but it's like the wrong. Is it the wrong lesson? Are they trying to teach us by doing the wrong thing?
Yeah.
Like, do as I say, not as I do, kind of idea.
Yeah.
I think it's just really ham-fisted in the way they do it. It's not subtle. It's not Trekky at all, because any other Star Trek show wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
They would have grown a creature just to murder it.
Yeah, I feel like they kind of went into it eyes wide open, right? Like some of those variables that came up should not have really been that surprising in terms of its trickiness. As I was kind of saying before, like, Enterprise it was rehashing a lot of these stories, which is why it kind of suffered from so much franchise fatigue. So they were going kind of hell for leather in trying to create a very Roddenberry-esque Star Trek kind of quandary, but the way that they went about it, it's just feels like fan fiction in a sense.
And I still don't understand why Sim Trip even went along with what they wanted anyway. At the end, he's just like, "Oh, okay, just kill me and take what you need." Like, really?
Yeah.
Even if you know you're only going to live another 5 days, why wouldn't you want to make those 5 days precious? Like, I don't know. Captain Archer ordering a sentient being to die so he can get his friend back. That's icky. Very, very icky.
Yeah.
Michael Burnham would never do that.
I know. Almost as icky as that opening scene where T'Pol pretty much sits on Trip's face while she's giving him a massage.
Yeah.
Oh, that's traditional Vulcan. That's traditional Vulcan ceremony, Davey. You've never had a Vulcan sit on your face?
Not recently, no.
You've just been in Europe for 5 weeks. What can you do?
And I went to 2 prides. I mean,
If it's not happening there, it's not happening at all.
no.
Well, I think that's enough talk about similitude. Then why don't we move on to parallax?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Sorry, you should know
Okay.
what you're getting when you invite me on the show.
And we're down with that.
So, Joe, do you want to quickly go over parallax?
So, in Parallax, we have Voyager gets trapped in, or comes across a singularity, and it sees a little ship trapped in it. But it turns out the little ship that they can't quite resolve is Voyager. And there's a whole host of things they try and do to try and escape from this. So that's kind of the A plot, but it's not. It's really the B plot.
It
Because
really
the A
is.
plot is how this new crew that have been thrust together. We've got a bunch of Maquis and a bunch of Starfleeters, and they've been thrust 75,000 light years away from home onto this one ship, and they have to live together. So it opens with Voyager O'Brien being treated in sickbay. And he is Voyager O'Brien, isn't he?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. He's been treated in sick bay because B'Elanna had basically put his nose inside his brain and attacked him because he wanted to do it one way and she wanted to do it the other way, and whatever they were trying to do in engineering. What's his face? Tattoo Face wants to give her a promotion, make her chief engineer, and the bun woman wants to what is like, you're insane. She's like she's a Maquis. She's didn't graduate Starfleet. She doesn't have the experience or the training, and she just attacked her senior in engineering. So there's lots of stuff going on, like personal interplay between characters going on there. There's still a lot of antagonism between the Maquis and Starfleet. All the while in sickbay, bald Doctor Dude, he is shrinking because this singularity is affecting things on the ship and making people feel dizzy. The Forever Ensign guy, he gets melodramatically dizzy while he's talking to Black Spock.
Excuse me.
And that's pretty much that.
Yeah. Wow. That's
These people
that's
have
the
actual real names, yeah. But I thought I'd go made up names for them. Yeah, that's it. And they escape from the singularity, and B'Elanna becomes chief engineer.
Yes, she does.
Yes.
Well, thank you for that succinct description. Memorable description. Thank you. Right, so, what do we think about the plot of Parallax then?
We've seen it like a billion times before, haven't we? They're stuck in some space thing, and they have to try and escape. What is maybe kind of new is all that personal stuff that's going on the ship.
I really enjoyed all that personal stuff that was going on the ship. It had been a long time since I had watched this, probably since the 90s when it first aired, and I'd forgotten that how important the Maquis stuff was in early, especially very early Voyager. There was this us versus them mentality on the ship at this point, and I liked that they were showing the tension in the crew, and I particularly loved the shuttlecraft scenes with Torres and Janeway. I liked two women in positions of command and power, arguing with each other over how to solve the problem, you know. And I thought it was lovely. I really enjoyed it, and I would have liked. They sort of, once Seven came in season 4, the Janeway Torres pairing sort of was given way to the Janeway Seven pairing, and I really enjoyed the Janeway Torres sort of mentorship storyline that was set up here and was kind of dropped later because of the introduction of Seven. So I think Torres got a bit of a raw deal later on in the show. But here, I think it was lovely. I really loved the Torres and Janeway scenes.
Yeah, it was a really nice introduction to them sort of building a relationship and a respect for each other on that scientific, intellectual kind of level. In terms of story and as an episode in on itself, I found myself thinking when I was watching it, I was like, wow, this is for a second episode after the pilot. And 90s Trek, the second episode after the pilot was always a little meh. Like, this was actually quite. I thought this was actually quite strong. Like, it really did a lot to set up early on what some of the characters were going to be, what some of the interpersonal relationships were going to be like. You know, in establishing Torres as the engineer, but also kind of sort of not just shrugging aside the fact that this is a group of terrorists essentially who are being integrated into the crew. Because you have that whole scene at the beginning as well where Seska's like to Chakotay, like, hey, we got your back. If you need us, we're with you. And we get that introduction to Seska as well. So there was a little bit for kind of everyone going on. And I remember, as I was watching it, I also remembered thinking again that when I watched it originally, I actually wish that the tension and the conflict around the Marquis and the Starfleet crew kind of stretched out a little bit longer. I think they were kind of very much leaning into that whole Roddenberry, the characters on the ship can't have conflict with each other. So they tried to resolve, they set it up, but then tried to resolve it very, very quickly. But it was very strong in this episode, and I wish that we'd actually seen more of some of these interpersonal dynamics kind of stretch out throughout the show.
Yeah, I really liked the point at the end where Carey goes up to Belan and says congratulations. Like, it was his job eventually, and she's come in and stolen it, but I don't know, is that just the Starfleet way to be? I know if it was me, I'd be enraged.
But I also at this point think that he knew he didn't have the solution, right? She was the one who figured it out and was able to get them out of the predicament. So at that point, he's like, well, maybe she is more qualified because she's come up with things that I could never have thought of. That was how I took Carrie's feelings at the end.
Yeah.
Was he the chief engineer already, or was he was like acting? Because the chief engineer died in
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Another scene I want to mention was the conference room scene where the senior officers were all just having a meeting and Kes and Neelix show up. I really liked Kes in this episode. I thought, she didn't have a lot to do, but she just brought this sort of sense of calm with her. Like, I got this impression that, if Kes had continued on in the show, that she would have just been this sort of calm center while things go crazy around her. They're having this sort of heated meeting and she's like, I just think we need a hydroponics bay. And Janeway says, okay, take it on. That's your project. And she was surprised with that, but I think I liked her ingenuity and her like I say, her just sort of calm presence. Whereas Neelix is just like, hi, I'm here. I want to make coffee.
Yeah.
He does amazing things with vegetables. So.
Yeah. He then proceeds to walk out of the conference room and really condescendingly mansplain to Kez what an event horizon is. I don't know if you picked up on that. He's like, now come here, Kez, and let me explain it to you, with his arm on her shoulder and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, oh my God.
Well, she has only 2, so.
Yeah. And then her later scenes with the doctor, where she asks what his name is and what she's almost like a ship's counselor to the doctor here. She's trying to get through his crazy emotions, which is really crazy that he has them considering he's a computer program. But I just really, I was really drawn to her in this episode.
Can I come back to the event horizon thing?
Please.
Neelix explains it explains it as a really powerful field, or not, a really powerful energy barrier / field surrounding the singularity. I was like, that's not what the event horizon is. The event horizon isn't actually a thing. It's just a kind of the terminator between something happening and something not happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, he mansplains it badly.
Yeah, he didn't come off very well in this episode, but I thought she did.
Yeah. She's 2 and she wants to grow vegetables.
Yeah.
Okay with that.
She still doesn't know what an event horizon is, unfortunately.
But you guys now do, and so the listeners...
thanks to Neelix.
Yeah.
Not me.
Joe just mansplained it to us.
Dullards. See, to come back to the point about character development, it really struck me that they all seem like fully fledged characters, given that this is episode 2, essentially. Yeah. Like, especially Janeway. Janeway seems like her season 6 Janeway. I think Kate Mulgrew must have had a really strong idea, strong sense about who Captain Catherine Janeway was, and just went with it. And it does develop over the years, but it's really solid.
Yeah.
And I think in my chat, because I cheated, so ChatGPT wrote all my notes. Apparently, the cast found the episode really crucial for setting the tone of the intercrew relationships. However, the critics felt it lacked character development.
Who are these critics?
I don't know. Maybe they were Sims near death. Yeah, I thought that was quite strange.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with any of the characterizations of any of the characters here, except maybe Neelix, who I think was a little flighty. But our main cast is great. So why don't we talk about the guest stars here? We've got 3 major ones, right?
Mm-hmm. We do. Davey, you may speak now if you wish. If you want to tell us about the guest cast.
Well, who did we have in the guest cast? So we had
Seska.
Yeah, we did, and I'm just trying to find where we're up to in the in the discussion points. But yeah, we had Seska, whose name I have temporarily forgotten.
Martha Hackett.
Martha Hackett. That's it. And we also had Voyager O'Brien, who we were talking about before. Yes. Did we really have anyone beyond those 2?
That was pretty much it. There were I mean there were a couple of other Maquis crew members that were on Seska's side when she volunteered to assist with mutiny. And that's about it, really. Some engineers. There were a bunch of engineers in the. They didn't have any lines at the end when B'Elanna came in and took over, but
I didn't realize that the foreshadowing of Seska was so early. So when I turned it on and Seska's in like one of the opening scenes, I'm like, oh wow, she was in it this early, because her arc doesn't finish until episode 1 of season 3. So they really kind of had these. For Rick Berman, who wasn't a fan of these kind of continuous stories, they did plant a lot of seeds quite early on for some of the conflict that they were going to set up later.
Yeah. We should have known. She's wearing a bright green uniform. It's wrong colour. Joe Carey is played by Josh Clark, and we might know him from Beverly Hills 90210 or Boston Legal. And then the other wee McKee guy, Jarvin, is played by Justin Williams. He's played lots of minor roles across many TV shows.
And doesn't Carey also die in Basics Part 2? So do him and Seska get introduced in this episode and then die in the same episode?
Perhaps.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Because Carey Is it Carrie or just a random crew member who gets eaten by the monster in the cave in Basics Part 2?
Let's see.
Total tangent there, but it's kind of weirdly related to the characters.
Davey,
Ask
sing us the song.
ChatGPT, Joe. I was going to say, ask ChatGPT, Joe. It might know.
Davey, sing the Australian national anthem.
How many verses of it would you like me to sing? The
All
the
of
two
it.
that we there's 18.
That's fine. Go with that. When does Carrie die?
I mean, should I also sing the mildly racist ones or the extremely racist ones? Like, which ones do you
He
want?
was murdered
By
Varen.
in the episode Friendship 1.
Ah, I was wrong.
Oh, poor.
He was in a lot of episodes.
Who? Carrie?
Yes. I'm looking at his. Well, he was in 7 episodes. So he doesn't die till season 7.
Oh, really?
Never mind. Someone else. I just took the whole episode on a tangent and it was completely incorrect, but that's fine.
Yeah. Friendship 1 is in season 7.
Oh.
Okay.
You can see here as well that the actor was also in TNG playing a random guy behind the unnamed tactical officer in TNG. It looks like in season 2 from the looks of the uniform.
Yes.
Cool.
No, it was Justice. It was season 1.
Season 1. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And look at those ginger curls. There we go. That's hot.
Okay.
Back to Parallax.
Okay. Yeah, let's go back to Parallax. We like tangents here. Why don't we talk about importance to canon? This being episode 2 of Voyager, I think the most important thing it does is set up B'Elanna as chief engineer, and it really it pushes her story arc ahead. So I like that. I like that this is really a B'Elanna episode that they gave episode 2 that they made episode 2 an episode that focuses on one of the. I'm not going to say more minor characters because I feel on Voyager all the characters had almost equal. But she's not the captain. I think that's great. I love B'Elanna Torres. I think she's one of my favorite characters on the show. So, yeah, I think that's probably the most important thing is that we know who the chief engineer of the ship is now.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a fabulous performance from her as well, from Dawson too. Just in terms of, I think it established who Torres is and Torres's own internal conflict between her human side and her Klingon side, which her and the writers played with a lot over the course of the series. I mean, it also, as we said, it introduced us to Seska, who, in terms of canon for Voyager, plays a really important role. And like I said, foreshadows right from the moment she's introduced that she's there to stir up trouble.
Right. Joe, what are your thoughts on canon here?
Yeah, like you guys have said, it sets up people in their recurring roles throughout the season. Sets up Kess as a farmer. It's a really solid episode in terms of having people in their place doing what they're supposed to be doing for the rest of the seven years. Is it super important to canon? Is there anything apart from those characters we've mentioned? I don't know. There's nothing that really is taken forward apart from those characters.
No.
Yeah, it's importance to the characters in terms of who they are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's foreshadowing. I mean, you know, Seska was in it a lot more than I thought that she was, because she's even in a lot of the bridge scenes and all that kind of stuff too. But to your point, you could arguably just pick up Seska as a B character later on and not necessarily need to have seen this to be able to understand her arc.
Yeah. We don't ever get warp particles again. Really? And I'm struggling with the idea of a warp particle, to be honest.
Warp particles.
It's a bit silly.
Is it overly important to canon? Arguably, yes and no. But I think it's an important episode of Voyager to watch because I think if you watched Caretaker and then skipped ahead a couple of episodes, there'd be a few things like, hang on a second, why is this going on? I think it's important to Voyager and Voyager's characters and just very quickly getting the status quo of these characters established for the episodic show that it was.
Yeah, it's important to the canon of Voyager. It sets it up quite well. Not overly important to the whole Star Trek canon, I suppose. More important to canon than Similitude.
Yeah, I'll give it that. I will give it that. And now, what about overall trekkiness of this episode?
Oh, plus 12.
Lots of technobabble.
Yeah. It's what we like. That's a problem. It's a problem to solve. They science the hell out of it, and we get character development. That's what we love in Star Trek.
And everyone's kind of involved in the solving of the problem somehow. Everyone has a little moment in the solving of it, whether it's in the actual kind of action phase or the formulating of the plan, because it's really sort of B'Elanna and Janeway's plan, mostly B'Elanna's. But then, you got those wonderful bridge scenes where you've got, Harry's figuring things out and Tom's figuring things out and Chakotay's just kind of like, I have a tattoo on my face. But it's all kind of happening.
There was also a scene where Janeway gave both Carrie and Torres the chance to come up with a solution. And Carrie just kind of fumbled the ball, right? I think that was probably one of the moments where Janeway was like, maybe this isn't the right guy. Because Torres took that moment to say, okay, this is what's happening. This is what we need to do. And Carrie was like, well, maybe we could, So I thought that was a nice moment too. So
it was a group job interview.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Can we have to mention B'Elanna's rank at the end. She never graduated the academy. And she's now a lieutenant.
She's given a field rank of lieutenant. Is that like a minimum entry requirement to be the chief engineer, though, that you have to be a lieutenant?
It seems a bit of a jump.
Yeah.
I mean, in Discovery, an ensign can be the first officer, so, I mean, ranks mean nothing, apparently. So.
Yeah, I thought I was a bit strange. Was it purely to put her at the same level as Carey?
Yeah. She had to be at least of equal rank of the people she was going to be ordering about.
I was going to say, yeah, and ensign as a chief engineer just doesn't seem like it would make sense. I don't know. That's why I say I feel like maybe they're, in canon or beta canon or something, maybe there's that kind of minimum rank requirement needed for certain positions.
Maybe. What we didn't mention yet is the Doctor's arc.
Oh, yes.
This is the beginning of him being ignored, essentially, and just being
turn the program off when you leave. Yeah.
Just being treated as a fancy toaster. But this is starting to annoy him. People don't switch him off. People are a bit dismissive and just ignore him all the time. He asks many times to have his hall projectors fixed, but he just keeps on shrinking. So there's that canon idea that keeps on going through.
The Doctor's storyline was sort of there for comic relief too. Like just the image of him shrinking and getting smaller and smaller was there for comedy as much as anything else.
That comedy gets played on though in terms of the way that they treat him simply because he is a computer program. Because Kez eventually kind of comes in and goes, "Hey, guess what?" It's not so much in this episode, but eventually she comes in and is like, "Hey, you're actually all treating him like a tool when he is, apparently a feeling program that's here to save your lives."
Yeah.
And so she kind of comes. You get that comic relief, but then Kez kind of holds a mirror up to them a little bit eventually.
Yeah.
So it does kind of set that up a little bit. It's also the first of many horrible visual effects used when they distort the Doctor's program.
Yeah, that was a really bad use of CG to make him small on that chair.
It kind of looks like when you try to stretch an old 4:3 visual image into a 16:9 screen, and it kind
Exactly.
of stretches.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was not good.
No.
But I go back to the Kess Doctor scenes where she's sort of counseling him too. I like she's giving him the idea that he's going to have to be more than what his program was designed for, and so that gives him something to think about, really.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, is it time for voting? And do we even really need to be secretive about this? I think we've sort of made our feelings known, have we?
We have. The funny thing is that when you put the voting polls up on Discord, Kevin, or on Facebook, I tend to just vote for the one that no one else is voting for, just because I think it's hilarious to do so. So I voted for Similitude in the online poll. But then when I watched it on the plane, as the copious amounts of red wine that my wonderful flight attendant kept pouring for me was starting to wear off, I was like, oh dear, this is either the fact that I'm sobering up from being day drunk, or this is really bad.
Well, let's talk about the poll. Apparently on Facebook, the vote was 7-3 for Similitude.
Oh, I contributed to that, sorry.
Okay. And on Discord, it was an even 3-3. So I don't know what that says about our listeners.
I wonder if people just haven't gone back and watched Parallax for a while.
Maybe they thought, oh, it's early Voyager, it can't be that good.
Mm.
Early Voyager versus mid-season Enterprise, which, on the whole, which would you think would be better? But in this case, I don't think there's any discussion. It's Parallax. Parallax is a way better episode than Similitude.
I would challenge those of you who voted for Similitude, like, if it's your favorite, it's your favorite. It's the wonderful thing about Star Trek. We can all have these different opinions, but maybe just go back and watch them all side by side and decide which one you think is better.
Yeah.
And tell me if you're a horrible person or not for thinking that Captain Archer was justified in his actions.
Yeah. Please give us feedback to let us know why you think Similitude is better.
Absolutely.
Okay, I don't think it's better, but I kind of want to vote for it. And I don't really know why. I think it made me feel a certain way, which I kind of liked, but made me feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
I'm like, is this actually Star Trek? I'm actually watching this. What are my eyes seeing here? And I think like Caretaker is like a Star Trek episode we've seen it like 100 times before, but Similitude was very strange, and I think it made me feel a certain way, and it made me feel uncomfortable. It made me think.
Yeah.
Caretaker, not Caretaker. Parallax didn't so much.
I wonder if maybe I'm thinking about this wrong when it comes to Similitude, because maybe this is early Starfleet, pre-Federation. Humans have not evolved quite into, the utopian society that we've become by the 23rd, 24th century. And we're a little bit looser. We're like, just because we can do a thing does not necessarily mean that we should do that thing. Thank you, Starfleet President, Federation President. But maybe you could look at it with that lens. And that's why, Joe, it makes you feel that way, because it's like, would I do the same thing to save my friend if it was life and death like this? Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, because my 46-year-old brain has been brought up with morals of the 24th, 25th centuries.
Yeah.
24th, yeah. And this, I was like, oh, why are we doing this? I wouldn't do that if I was captain. But they're at war, the ends justify the means, saving your best friend, yada, yada, yada. I get it. So I'm just going to say I'm going to vote for Similitude.
Wow. Davey, what's your vote?
I'm going to vote for Parallax. I think it was the situation I was in, but because I was relaxed, I had a couple of glasses of wine. I just wanted a nice Star Trek episode where they science the hell out of something, as you said. Not this very icky, questionable, like, why on earth would they do this kind of episode? So that's why Parallax gets my vote.
Okay, that's fair.
So, as a vote of 2-1, Parallax will be staying in the canon, and Similitude will be shot out.
Done.
I always knew you were a diva.
Outraged.
All right. Well, should we take a look and see what's coming up next?
Do it. I love this bit. It's my favorite bit, Davey.
Here we go. 1 second. I will share my screen. And we will bring up the Wheel of Destiny.
Boom, boom, boom.
There it is. Ooh. We're going to spin the wheel. And the first episode we will be looking at in the next episode is... Can you read
Hotels.com. No.
Suddenly Human, Next Generation. Suddenly Human?
Is that the one where Picard kind of adopts the really angry teenager?
That's the one that... So.
Yeah.
Somebody adopts somebody.
Do you have every episode in this thing, do you?
Yeah.
Pretty much. I don't have the current season of Discovery. This goes up to the end of season 2 of Strange New Worlds. So we got Suddenly Human. And here we go. Oh, another Enterprise episode. Cold Front.
That's season 4.
Oh.
I feel like Cold Front season 4.
Okay. We have had a lot of Enterprise episodes recently, so that's kind of good for me because it's the show that I'm the least connected to. I've seen the least.
Forces you to watch it, and it's season 1.
Exactly. Season 1.
Cold Front season 1, episode 11, and Suddenly Human is season 4, episode 4 of TNG.
Okay. Well, the polls will go up very soon in both Facebook and Discord, and people can vote there. So how about final thoughts? Anything anybody wants to say before we move on to our closing here?
Well, just to say, listeners, that episode 6 of the Bat'leth Battles was posted on your favourite podcast service today because I forgot to post it like 2 weeks ago after we recorded because I forget to do these things. But yeah, it went on today, like 10 minutes before we went live. On speaker, I apologise.
Dear me, Joe.
It's summer teacher brain.
I was going to say, in the nothing I had to do, I forgot to do this thing for 2 weeks.
Yeah. That's terrible. Sack me.
Well, then, let's just move on from that. So we would love to hear what you thought about today's episode, and we hope you will join our Facebook group, the BQN Collective, to continue our discussion there. Or you can follow the network on Twitter and Instagram at BQN Podcasts. Join us on our Discord server where the Bat'leth Battle polls will always be posted. Now, Davey, where can people find you when you are not making a clone of your best friend?
Well, when I'm not doing that and harvesting that individual's organs for my own benefit, you can find me across the network. I'm very active on Discord and Facebook. But my main show on the network, the Trexperts Quiz, you can find here on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts from. Obviously have not been doing my show for the last month and a bit because I have been on an extended vacation. But it is going to be returning towards the end of this month, and we are going to be doing a bit of a 3-episode arc for the return. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be very exciting. And Joe, where can people find you when a Vulcan is not sitting on your face?
Well, when I'm not under a Vulcan, you could possibly find me. Well, interestingly, I have limited my social media use on my phone to 20 minutes per day.
Wow.
So I don't. Isn't it that we just like endlessly like doom scroll? And you just see adverts for things. I'm like, this isn't making my life better. So 20 minutes per day, and then my phone doesn't let me access Facebook or Instagram or anything like that, which is great. I'm loving it. But for those 20 minutes per day, you can get me on Facebook. You can get me on X or Instagram at JoeyJoe77UK. You can email me, joepodcast@gmail.com. You can find me on the Discord server or the BQN Collective, those kind of normal places. And Kevin, where can people find you when you're not making clones of yourself? Like 900 billion all Kevin.
Oh, I would be so much more rested if there were clones of me doing all the things that I've signed up to do. So if I'm not doing that, you can find me on another podcast I do with some local friends called True North Nerds, where we talk about all things geeky and nerdy. I'm quite often in the Discord server and on the BQN pages on Facebook. So why don't we let Miss Amy Nelson here tell us about what else is going on the network right now?
What shows are on BQN, you ask? Well, here's a rundown of some podcasts you might be interested in. All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast covering all of Trek, hosted by Amy, Mark, Christos, Kelvin, and Kristen. Whether you've got Xbox or Nintendo, check out Bargain Bin Gamer, a YouTube show hosted by Davey, a self-proclaimed gamer who specializes in reviewing and showcasing affordable video games. 2 episodes enter the arena, 1 comes out victorious. Join hosts Joe and Kevin, and a guest, as they debate which should win the Batleth battle. Grab your popcorn as you listen to Cinema Z, a film discussion and review podcast showcasing films you probably missed, but should definitely check out. Hosted by Mark and Matt. Don your apron for The Food Replicator, where Matthew eats and drinks his way through the Star Trek cocktail and 3 cookbooks. Beam Aboard Galaxy Class, a Star Trek Next Generation podcast covering all of TNG, hosted by Steven. In order to not repeat it, listen to History with the Zalogis, a snippet of historical events from around the world, hosted by Chrissy and Jason. For the newest Trek coverage, check out Infinite Diversity, hosted by Chrissy and Thad. Curl up with a good book and delve into Beta Canon with Peter, host of the online Trek Book Club on Twitter, and his new companion, Trek Book Club podcast. Test your Trek knowledge with Trexperts Quiz, a Star Trek quiz show hosted and written by Davey. Whether you're a member of Starfleet Federation or Planetary Union, go check out Union Federation, covering current Star Trek and the Orville, which we all know is really a Trek show, hosted by Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley. Head over to YouTube and watch The View Screen live on Sundays, your Trek-inspired talk show hosted by Kelvin and Amy, with Season 2 starting in September for a 10-week run. Spill the tea with Christos while he discusses current Trek news and events, and explores the world of fandom via guest interviews, all with a LGBTQIA+ perspective on what's the T-Bev. And for our Patreon members, we have the Hive Mind with monthly script readings, Let's Fly, a Discovery reaction show, It's Green, a cornucopia of topics, Amy's Math Moments, a quick look at math moments in Star Trek. We know you have a choice of podcasts to choose from, and we thank you for listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
That was, wow. Amy with that music in the background. That was.
Fell asleep.
It was relaxing, very relaxing. We've got a lot of stuff going on the network, don't we?
I was just thinking that. There are so many shows now. It's so good.
So if you'd like to help keep all of those shows coming to you each week, you can become a patron of the network on Patreon. For just $1 a month, you can join our Let's Fly reaction show, script readings, and enjoy our special patron-only shows of It's Green and Amy's Math Moments. Visit patreon.com/BQN to get all the details and watch your messages. If becoming a patron isn't your thing, you can still support the show by sharing our posts on social media, talking about it with your friends, or hitting the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and leaving us a star rating and written review. That helps others to find the show.
At this time, we would like to thank our executive producers who make this all possible, and of course, a big special thank you to the fabulous Mark White for our artwork, and to Joe Keegan.
That's me.
For all our music. Do you ever read that part yourself? No? Okay.
Sometimes, yeah. I love
Would
it.
you like to thank me?
Like I'm talking to one of my clones.
So, thank you for joining the Batleth Battle today, and until next time.
What was I going to go with again? No, I've forgotten it. Yeah, save the planet, kill a clone.
Until next time, may all your particles be warp particles.
And this isn't another.
Did you just groan? Sorry.
No, I did not. I did not. That was a sigh of relief that the show's over. But this isn't another singularity. It's the same one.
No.